right, welcome to Books That Built Me, the podcast where mindset meets style and every page leads to transformation. I am your host, Antasia Armour, mindset and style coach, guiding you through the books that shape my confidence, refine my image, and rebuild how I show up in the world. In each episode, we uncover the wisdom between the lines and how it lives in our closets, our thoughts, and our decisions. This is coaching talk, not just book talk, for women becoming more of who they were always meant to be. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so this is going to go into episode 2 where we're going to focus around style on the book, The Art of War. So, style as strategy and dressing like you're already winning. So, how the art of war helped me understand what it really means to be a warrior and or to really have great skills as a warrior. And I mean, and it's okay, so let's get so first off, let's talk about part really what shifted within myself when dealing with this particular book is a millionaire's mindset. So what is a millionaire's mindset, coach and agent? Our mindset is style coach and agent. A millionaire's mindset is different from the average Joe's or from the average person in life who may not really consider making millions of dollars. And for those people who do consider making millions of dollars, then they have certain behavioral characteristics. Some of them revolves around reading. Reading is a really big part of their lives and how they conduct themselves and how they behave when they are in accumulation of these millions of dollars. And what it is that they choose to do is read. And I'm guessing that they read in order to sharpen their skills, to learn how to rather manage their money, accumulate their money in a trajectory that money earns their necessarily ways of living, even while they're asleep or they're vacationing or they're hanging out with their family, their loved ones, people who they support, people who support them. And so some of these books become lifelines or become so handy that there's really no separation between books and the millionaire themselves. And they're become so intertwined and entwined that they're certain at some point in time to become one and the same. And so that's where the art of war came into play. I wanted to focus on millionaires and their thought processes in order to have a similar outcome. So, what did that mean? Let's dive deeper. That means that when you research and you take the time out to search their lives and emulate what you resonated with and what you wanted to resonate with, or what you felt was something that was possible to resonate with, I learned that they do certain characteristics. They read, but they only read particular things, which is nonfiction, self help, and history. And that's normally about it. And so the art of war is a nonfiction self help category. And that's where that particular idea came from. And I realized a few things by going through this particular book. This book was very short. Napoleon Hills in our episode 1 book is probably around 200 pages. And The Art of War is probably 35, 45, 50 pages max. So it's a rather quick read, but it's so potent that it really can't be 700 pages. So that potency is short and sweet, but it packs a punch. And I'm not sure how many people have read this book, and I believe The Art of War is kind of sort of like a switch zoo or something like that. I don't know if it's based out in India. I'm not sure what demographic that this particularly resonates with, but and what's sad about that is that Scorpios are known for having Pluto, who rules the underworld, which is revolving around war. And I didn't even know that the real idea and culture is underworld is like the mafia or different type of gangs who run this city, and that's where that mythology stems from. And don't get me wrong, the mafia can definitely strike a chord of fear, okay? Like, oh no, 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 no. You want to steer clear, you want to make friends, you want people in your pocket that really is gonna rock with you. You ain't trying to ruffle their feathers unnecessarily. No ma'am. And that's just where your logic lies and resides in. And as those moments go forth, you're kind of sort of aware that as a Scorpion being myself, I appreciate a good war. Even in high school, girls are just so adamant to not like you and want to roll up on you 3 or 4 deep. So you learn as a skill over the years, after a while of so many girls wanting to put their hands on you and even men to become skilled at war. Okay. And that's a good thing because some people may just cower in a corner and therefore it'll never stop. And I had a young lady who got really mad at me, Jasmine Parker. And I don't know why she was so angry, but she was angry at me over a guy named Carlos. And so I got to the point though, I mean, she was calling me psychotic. She had called me a troll. She was telling me that being bothered with somebody's um, fiance that is her friends and Monique Johnson. And it's all of this drama. Nobody thought once to ask me, are you okay? Like, are you straight? Like, I'm sorry that this person is even tipping out and you're the target behind it, and he's supposed to be being faithful to my friend, and I'm so sorry. And nothing like that. It's just, oh yeah, you psychotic, and just having all of these labels and thoughts. So it got to the point where I was just like, okay, you know what, if you reaching out, cool, you want to figure out how we can kind of maybe collaborate. And I know this young lady, I've known her for quite a bit of time, so I know the circles, and that's what I mean. So you're not going to be able to just pull the wool over my eyes. I know you. And so, and mind you, it's never been no friendly interactions. It's never been a single, hi, how you doing? I want to hang out with you. And people notice it at the end of the day. They notice everything. And so as you go about and you figure out what that means, and at whatever point that the person is trying to manifest that type of energy, it goes into war now at this point in time. And I got to the point where the last piece was so point forward that I was just like, okay, you know what, this has got to go. And I know people who are just like, oh my God, I've been like just so scared. Oh my God, there was no way. And at first, I was really going to just let everything go. I really wasn't even going to kind of sort of say much else because that's just how people rock. You know what I mean? It's not always a point to really want to explain yourself. That's just not logical. And so when I was really going forth with those type of thoughts and ideas, what I had learned was this young lady was not stopping. Jasmine Parker was not willing to ask if I was doing okay. They were not really willing to make me feel as though they really were being really forthright And I could tell. And so I told Jasmine Parker that I was willing to let everything slide, but this one time, and that was it. You only get one pass. I just gave it to you. So you didn't call to figure out how I was. You didn't hit me up to collaborate. You didn't reach out to see how art is a way to express some issues that you having for some kind of shortcoming within your own life, and you didn't want to do that. So you really wanted to reach out with your thoughts that were geared around something that was a little more negative. And that's what you chose to do. So you only gonna do this thing one time. One time? One time. Because the next second time that a person is not checking on me about anything to do with art, we going to war. So I'll write it on a note card. I'll slide that note card right inside my pocket, my purse. It can be whatever pocket that's inside of my pocketbook. It can be a constant, subtle reminder to keep my mind on war and not what somebody else is saying. Because after a while, what you saying is dead. What you did said everything that your words did not say. And I hated that type of entity. So it made war really easy to turn to. Because there was never no silence. There was never a moment where you're just really like, oh wow, you're another female, just like, what I had going on and whatever else. So Brian ain't gonna say that like this is crazy. We all trying to find our way. I didn't get none of that. And I got so fed up that I literally I have no doubt in my mind about the level that I was willing to sacrifice my life in order to prove my point. And I'm not saying that it was the easiest thing in the world. I'm not saying that it was something that I had looked forward to or anything else like that either. I'm just simply saying that that was a moment where I knew that the art of war was really going to be and end up exactly where I needed it. Whether it was with a clique of girls who are all older than I am, whether that means that their energy was something that I had to figure out. Mind you, I'm alone. It's two of them. So I get no respect. And then on top of that, it's three of you, technically, if you want to include Carlos. So when you deal with the war that goes on with people, because we can have internal wars, that's an internal war. The power of that silence, which was the internal battle, was kind of sort of just the same thing as saying, no, I'm just gonna take it all out on you. And that is where the line was drawn. That was a boundary. Even in dealing with war, when you're dealing with your neighbors or whoever, people on the street, people on the public transportation systems, people out here on these roads, all of those play a part in feeling as though you're in the battlefield, and either you're gonna ship gonna sink or it's gonna go ahead on where it's supposed to be at, about a port. It's a personal choice and decision. And that's really how everything is. I mean, for real. So your visual presence as leadership energy is going to give off, look, I'm going to set this boundary for you this last and final time. And once I set this boundary, it ain't no coming back from this. Either we going to show up and we going to pop off and we going to let you know that what you was doing, I was so sick of that it was no other course of action. But the choice is yours. So just being mindful of that, it will really help you out in that type of idea. And so, again, this book really awakened in me a very powerful warrior. Ty, real life, and that's a real life moment. You know what I mean? Jackson Parker is a real person. You know, people hate to say people names, but I don't have no issue. The way that people flake and butcher my own name, I have no problem with spitting out somebody's name. That's as easy as Jasmine. Um, and how did this show up in the way that I carry myself is really about having a body language that says you're gonna have to get through what it is that I'm thinking about, and until you do that, you're going to lose, because most likely if you was able to have done it, you had did it. But since you didn't do it, now all of a sudden I know you're not a person who is capable of doing much that's considered positive. That's a weakness. Weakness can't live in a power evolving universe. It cannot exist here. That's just what it is. And so, advice that y'all can go ahead on and do, especially through those moments where your visual presence as leadership energy gives off the power that you're willing to go to war for what you believe in. That's ultimately where you want to be at. Okay, so I am going to leave y'all with this style prompt. Style yourself for the room you want to own, not just enter. Okay, and ultimately that's really about being able to put yourself in the area regardless of who else is in there. Okay, because the Jakes is gonna be doing they want to. The Jakes is gonna be watching you. The Jakes is watching you hard as a kite is flying up in the sky on a windy gust. Okay, and that's just how it goes. You know what I mean? And if you really want to know what's going on, have your mindset really ready to embrace war. That's what I want y'all to do. I'm gonna challenge you to have a second to say, the next time somebody want to go to war, let's go ahead on and go. That's my challenge for y'all. And do those things within the next opportunity that somebody approaches you in a disrespectful manner that says, I want to go to war. And then make sure that they know that you're willing to do so. That's really what I want y'all to focus on. Because there's no way that nobody is able to talk to the next human being any kind of way like that. So thank you for joining me for another chapter of Books That Built Me. If this episode reshaped your mindset or refreshed your style, leave a comment or review, and don't forget to wear your truth boldly. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.